My name's Chiara. I'm originally from Australia and I lived in Boston for a long time, which is where my family lives. And now I live in San Francisco. Come in.
Okay, thank you.
Do you think you can you sit comfortably?
Mm-hmm. Okay. What made you want to take a chance with van life and try it out? Like, what inspired you?
I think when it first became a trend, maybe 2011, 2012, I was really interested in the idea. I was always interested in minimalism, and I went through a big phase of decluttering, and when I started traveling, I lived out of a backpack, and I thought that living out of a van would be kind of a more permanent but still very minimal expression of that.
Nice. Do you find yourself like going to new places, traveling, having that like adventurous spirit with? Nice.
Yeah. Well, because I do live in the city and I work here and I study here, I haven't done much long distance travel, but it's really great to be able to go up to the North Bay, go to the South Bay, East Bay. Here, just, come to Golden Gate Park or go to the beach. It's,
nice.
Because otherwise I wouldn't have a car in the city. Before I took public transportation, so I didn't need a car.
Were there any like cons that you considered?
I didn't. By the time that I really started seriously thinking about it last year, I knew I wanted to do it, and so I just figured that I'd deal with the cons when they arose.
How are your reactions from people so far?
Well, all of my friends are supportive. Some people are excited. A lot of people want to know what kind of van I have and want to see it.
What kind of van do you have?
It is a Dodge Ram van, 1500, year 2000.
Sick.
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah, so I think the initial owners, they did the installation, so that's how the basic conversion was done. And then there's just, it's just a piece of wood for the bed and then a mattress. It's very basic, and what I liked about it was that for now, when I don't have the time or really the resources to invest in a proper build out, it's livable. But it's still kind of a blank canvas, so when I do decide to put more time into it, I can.
What are your plans? Do you have any?
Not really. I haven't let myself think about it yet because it's not the time for it right now. I have been thinking about maybe upgrading to, if I am gonna do this long term, I would like to have a space to sit, desk. So if I were to do that, I would get a van that I could stand in. But if I am to keep this van, because I do quite love it and it's really durable, I think the bed would stay. I'd probably build some sort of countertop, maybe some drawers. I mean, these baskets work really well, but maybe I would have some sort of little shelf here so I could put some food, maybe a sink.
Ooh, fancy. So this is a part of the kitchen.
I use this as part of the kitchen. I like to come to parks like this, to the beach, and I just fold out my table and then I take my stuff out and I can cook. I have a camping stove. I don't cook inside here for ventilation reasons.
Yeah.
But I do in the mornings, I make my oatmeal, my peanut butter and nuts and fruit, and I just put my cutting board out there. Simple. You can see I have all my dry goods in there. Like to shop at Rainbow Grocery for the bulk, and then I have some produce hanging.
Where do you get your water from?
The gym, places everywhere pretty much has a water fountain in San Francisco, which is a real privilege. So I'm very grateful to live here, definitely. I try my best to be low waste, and I try to buy in bulk, and I buy my produce obviously. But I think that the van life took me back a couple steps. Before, when I was living in an apartment, it was easier to, I can't think of a specific example of something that I bought with packaging because I live here, but sometimes I go for convenience. So I don't have electricity in here. I have solar lights, so they're packed away right now, but they just pop out and then I hang them on my little
Nice. So you
hanger.
can be active during the night. Brings you to my next question of how you like maintain health, like physical health, mental health here. You know, there's not a lot of like sun. I guess you do have the actual sun, but you know what I mean? Like, if you don't feel comfortable leaving your outs, like having your doors open.
I just do.
You just do?
I just,
Nice.
even if I don't feel comfortable, you know, because of course there are some days that if I had a home, I probably would stay in bed and I'd probably keep to myself and lounge around. But I think that one of the great things is that it does get me out because I have to go out every day. And I've really made an effort to make home wherever I go. So, you know, the markets nearby where I stay and my gym and just everywhere I go, I really try. More so than I did when I was living in an apartment, I tried to make myself at home, and that means getting to know people, talking to people, giving back how I can. So I have a gym membership. I also can go to the gym at my school, so that's really great. Physically, I feel like I get out more. I'm more active than I was before, so my physical health is doing pretty well. My gym has yoga classes that I go to in the evening sometimes, so that's good. I have a couple of different spots that I like to park, and I kind of know some people around there. I generally, if I see someone getting out of their van that, you know, it's obvious that they are living in their vehicle, I usually just say hi. I try to introduce myself and get to know people.
How do you deal with like city regulations? Because I think it's illegal to technically sleep in your car.
So far, I haven't been bothered. I only stay in places where there is definitely an evident community of people living in vehicles, which feels like some sort of strength in numbers. I don't know. I can only speak from my experience. I don't know if other people who are in different situations are bothered by the police more than I am. And it's something that I recognize that I can kind of blend in to, you know, I can kind of be discreet about it. So I don't know specifically if, you know, someone on my street has been bothered or racially profiled, but I can definitely imagine a city that, yeah, I can get by, and I think I have been granted a lot of privilege in this lifestyle.
How long have you been living in here?
Since September.
Okay.
So it's been a good while now. Yeah, I think that it depends. Sometimes I feel like I could do this long term, and I want to. I feel that way usually when I'm places like this, or when I'm at the beach, or when I'm traveling and camping somewhere. In the city, it's not so enjoyable, and I have felt that, you know, if I did have the financial situation to be in an apartment, I would choose that kind of space and safety at this time. If I'm going to stay in the city, it probably won't be. I think I'll try to find a different living situation for space.
Like an apartment?
It's all a bit up in the air right now.
Because how does that contribute to like your minimalistic way of wanting to be in the world?
That's what I'm kind of figuring out. Deciding between is you know, what sacrifices am I willing to make for this idea of minimalism. But how I really feel is that if I'm able to live somewhere, you know, more connected to nature, then I have the whole wide home. You know, it's all home. I'm very comfortable in this space. That's something that I've been thinking about in terms of this kind of liminal phase I'm in right now, where I'm deciding whether I'd like to stay here for a long time. The idea of holding space for people and inviting people over and having meals, jamming, that is really something. And, you know, art space, just like imagining a room where we can all make art together, that's something that I really would like.
How do you like feed that part of yourself right now then, you know?
With friends that invite me. I think that that's a beautiful way that I've been able to stay connected, because really it's about the connection with the person. You know, that's really what I I think what we really all crave is that connection with each other, and maybe one friend can provide, you know, the living space, another friend can provide the art supplies, and yeah, I can provide the art supplies, I can provide food, I can provide my
Speaking of which, I brought some food, by the way. Yeah, plantains, rice, lentils.
Nice.
All the water wasted.
Handmade cloth.
You made that?
No, my mom made it.
Oh, that's weird.
She said that's weird.
It's sweet.
Oh.
That's weird.
I know. I was like, oh,
Whoa.
okay. It's just not a real spoon.
That's okay. That's not a real spoon.
But it's a compostable.
I like this one. I like this one. I love you. Is there anything like services that you'd want to exist that doesn't for people who live not in stereotypical homes?
I think that more community spaces for people who are experiencing homelessness or are experiencing tougher financial situations that find themselves living in a vehicle. So yeah, safe places to be able to go and just be and not feel obliged to buy something like at a cafe, or not feel obliged to fit a certain persona. I have heard about vehicle triage centers in the city being opened, which is essentially a safe parking lot with services, which seems like a good idea. I don't know if I'd want to be part of that. Because
resources.
Yeah, to take up the resources that could be better allocated to someone else, or someone who wants it more or needs it more than I do. And also just, I think for privacy's sake, I don't advertise that I live in a vehicle, especially as a single woman. I think if being in a center where you have to, I'm assuming, register to be there, every person would know that I am this small woman living alone in just a vehicle. But I think that the more services available for people that don't endanger them in terms of, you know, being reported to the police or any other reason, yeah, there should be more of that.
Do you think like more people should live in vans and vehicles?
I don't know. I think that if someone feels drawn to this lifestyle and would thrive in it, then yeah, absolutely. But I do think that housing is a really important issue, and there should be more affordable housing for people, because having a stable living situation is actually really important, and there's a lot of instability in living in a vehicle. And I think that if we can put more energy and resources in developing more affordable housing, there could also maybe be a market for more sustainable housing. I know that there are lots of initiatives to provide that and to make that a reality. So I think there are different ways to go about it.
Sure. Do you have any advice for a young woman like yourself who wants to be sustainable and be in van life?
I think my number one piece of advice would always be to trust your instincts. Trust your gut, you know, about where you're staying, about why you're doing this, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
So, is there anything that you miss about non-van life?
One thing that I miss about living in a conventional home is, well, my primary medium for art is wood burning, which requires electricity and ventilation. So, and for me, it really requires having the time and space to get into my zone, and this living situation doesn't exactly facilitate that.
Can I see something?
Oh, yeah. So I use scrap wood. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Explain your press.
So for me, it's more of a feeling. It's really something that came intuitively to me. I noticed some wood pieces that were scrap at one point when I was a teenager, and I wanted to turn them into something, and I used my dad's soldering iron and I fell in love with the process, and it's grown from there. And
so you just like picked it up, you didn't look at a YouTube video, like nothing? Wow.
I just did it. It was
Aquarius rising, everyone.
Yeah.
Yay, you did so good.
Yeah,
Thanks you for talking to me.
Yeah, thank you for coming and seeing my home.
Yay. Bye, Key.
Bye.